Zara adjusted her pink belt for the third time, her hands trembling slightly as she looked around the room. The dojo smelled faintly of sweat, rubber mats, and something older, something ancient and serious. Posters of black belts hung on the wall, some striking powerful poses, others captured mid-kick or punch. But every one of them shared the same thing: confidence, strength, belonging. Zara felt none of those. She was the only one with a pink belt. The others had yellow, orange, blue, even green. A few black belts leaned lazily against the wall, arms folded, sizing her up with curious eyes. Someone chuckled from the back. Zara flinched. It was loud, deliberate. "What's next?" "A rainbow belt," one voice said. Maybe she thought this was a ballet class, another added. Laughter followed, not cruel exactly, but enough to make her ears burn. Zara looked down at her belt. She didn't choose pink because she liked the color. It was all she had. Her cousin had passed it down when she quit martial arts, and Zara's family couldn't afford a new one. But no one in the room knew that. They only saw a shy girl in cheap clothes, standing alone at the edge of the mat with the wrong belt and wide, uncertain eyes. "All right, class." The instructor's voice boomed, silencing the chatter. Coach Harris was a tall, lean man with sharp cheekbones and a sharper tongue. He paced slowly across the mat like a general before a battle. His eyes landed on Zara. "New student Zara," nodded quickly. "Name Zara, Malik. Pink belt." "Huh." He raised an eyebrow. "That's not standard." Zara opened her mouth to explain, but stopped. What would she even say? That it was either this or nothing. That she had begged her mother to let her join even though they were still behind on rent. Coach Harris sighed. "Fine, but no special treatment. You keep up, or you sit out. Understood?" "Yes, sir." She bowed stiffly, trying to mimic what she'd seen in YouTube videos. More snickers from the back. The warm-up began. Zara followed, clumsily, her movements half a second behind everyone else. When they stretched, her muscles screamed. When they jumped, her legs wobbled. And when they practiced basic punches, her fists felt like soft pillows rather than weapons. Sweat dripped into her eyes, and her lungs burned. She pushed through it all. She had to. She had promised her father's picture on the mantel. "I'll make you proud," she had whispered before leaving the house that morning. But here, on the mat, she wasn't proud, she was just tired. After 30 minutes, Coach Harris clapped his hands. "Partner drills. Pair up." Zara stood frozen. Everyone rushed to their usual partners. Some even high-fived or laughed as they split into twos. She was the only one left. Coach Harris sighed again, as if she had personally inconvenienced him. "You, with me?" he said. They began practicing blocks. The coach's movements were sharp and fast, his tone impatient. "No, wrong. Again. You're not stopping the force, you're inviting it. Plant your feet." Zara tried harder. Her arms stung from the repeated hits. He wasn't going easy on her, and the class watched with thinly disguised amusement. "Enough," he finally said. "Go sit." Her chest heaved. She bowed and walked to the side, every step a mix of relief and shame. As she sat near the wall, she heard someone say, "She won't survive a week here." Zara's throat tightened. She turned her face away. She didn't want them to see the tears in her eyes, but someone did. An older man pushing a mop across the far side of the dojo noticed her. He was the janitor, thin and quiet, with silver in his beard and kindness in his eyes. He watched her for a long moment, then looked away without saying a word. After class, as everyone packed their gear, Zara stayed seated. Her legs still felt weak. The janitor passed by again and paused. "You all right?" he asked gently. She nodded, wiping her face. "Just tired." He studied her pink belt. That used to mean something once. Before they changed the ranks, Zara looked up, confused. "Really?" "Pink was for heart," he said. "Not skill, not speed, just pure heart. Only the rare ones wore it." Zara didn't know if he was joking, but his words felt warm somehow. "Thank you," she said. He nodded and continued cleaning. Outside, the sky was turning orange. Zara walked home slowly, backpack slung over one shoulder. Her legs still ached, but her heart ached more. That night, she practiced in the small hallway of her apartment. Her mother watched silently, folding laundry on the couch. "You don't have to do this," she said gently. "I want to," Zara replied. "They don't know how strong you are," her mother said. Yet Zara whispered. The next day, she arrived early at the dojo. No one else was there, except the janitor. He smiled. "Back already?" She nodded. "Can I practice here a little before class?" He looked around. "Coach won't be here for another 30 minutes. Go ahead." She started with stretches, then punches. Her movements were still awkward, but she tried to remember everything from the day before. The janitor watched, then walked over slowly. "You're turning your foot the wrong way on the pivot," he said. She looked down. "Like this. Almost here." He gently corrected her stance, then stepped back. "Now try." She did. It felt better, stronger. He nodded. "Better." For the next 20 minutes, he corrected small things, her posture, her breathing, her timing. He never raised his voice, never made her feel foolish. "Who taught you?" she asked. "Life," he said, "and a few good people along the way." Class began, and she joined in. She was still slower than the responsa wasn't the same as yesterday. She stood straighter, moved with more confidence. Even the coach noticed, his eyes narrowing slightly. When it ended, no one laughed at her. They didn't compliment her either, but the silence felt like progress. She kept coming early, every day. The janitor, Mr. Malik, he finally told her, would help her, quietly, patiently. No one noticed, or so she thought. One day, a girl from class came in early too, saw them training, and started filming quietly from the doorway. Later that night, Zara's phone buzzed repeatedly. She opened it to find dozens of notifications. Someone had uploaded a clip to Instagram titled "Pink Belt Girl Trains with Old Man Watch Her Progress." It had thousands of views in just a few hours. Some laughed, some mocked, but others were curious. One comment stood out: "She reminds me of myself once." The name was at Rina Vithnik. Zara clicked the profile. It belonged to a woman with 300K followers, a former national champion in martial arts. Zara's heart pounded. She sent a message without thinking. "Thank you for the comment. I'm trying my best." A reply came a few minutes later. "Train with me or stay stuck. Your choice." Zara stared at the screen, her fingers frozen. Her heart raced. Was this real? She typed back, "Where?" A location pin appeared. It was across town. She told no one, not even Mr. Malik. The next afternoon, instead of going straight home, she took a bus to the address. It led to a small warehouse. Inside was a single mat, some weights, and a woman in a tracksuit doing knuckle push-ups on concrete. She looked up. "You must be the pink belt girl." Zara swallowed. "Yes. I don't train tourists," Rina said. "You get one shot. Let's see what you've got." Zara stepped onto the mat. "Yes, ma'am." They sparred. Zara was no match. Rina didn't hurt her, but she moved like water, fast, clean, impossible to predict. Zara fell, got up, fell again. Rina finally said, "You're not strong." Zara's shoulders dropped. "But," Rina continued, "you don't quit. That's rarer than talent." Zara looked up. "Does that mean you show up tomorrow? Same time? No pink belt? Just your heart?" Zara nodded, eyes burning with determination. As she stepped out into the night air, her phone buzzed again. A new message, from an unknown number. It simply said, "Your little secret training won't stay secret for long." She looked around, heart racing. Who was watching her? Zara stared at the message on her phone long after she had stepped off the bus. The words, "Your little secret training won't stay secret for long," glowed against the cracked screen like a warning, like a trap. Her fingers trembled as she turned the phone over, checking for the sender's name again. Nothing, just unknown. Her chest tightened. Who could have seen her? She looked around the empty street, the flickering streetlight overhead casting long shadows on the cracked sidewalk. No footsteps behind her. No one watching from across the street, but her gut twisted. Someone knew. Someone was watching. At home, she hid the worry behind a tired smile. Her mother was ironing clothes in the living room, the smell of starch and steam filling the air. "You're late," she said without looking up. "Stayed to practice." Zara lied. "You shouldn't push too hard. That place doesn't care about you," her mother said gently. Zara didn't respond. She disappeared into her room and locked the door. Her pink belt hung from the closet handle. She stared at it for a long time. Mr. Malik's words echoed in her mind. It used to mean hard. She wrapped it around her hand like a bandage, like armor. The next morning, she left early, again claiming to practice alone. But she didn't go to the dojo. She went to the warehouse. Rina was already there, moving through her warm-ups like a machine, sweat glistening on her forehead, her focus unbreakable. "You came," Rina said without glancing at her. Even after the message, Zara froze. "You know about it?" Rina stood up straight. "This isn't a fairy tale. People don't like when someone new starts rising, especially not someone they laughed at yesterday." "Do you think it was Coach Harris?" Zara asked. "Could be. Could be a jealous student. Could be no one. Fear has a way of growing in silence." Zara swallowed her doubt. "I'm ready." Rina tossed her a jump rope. "Then prove it." For the next hour, Zara's world became a blur of sweat, pain, and repetition. Rina didn't just teach techniques. She broke habits, rebuilt stances, taught her how to move like water and hit like a hammer. "Your body must listen before anyone else does," she said. Zara nodded, breathless. For a girl who was laughed at, who sat alone at school, who never won trophies or wore medals, something inside her was finally waking up, something fierce, something unshakable. After training, Rina handed her a towel. "Tomorrow, we spar again. This time, I won't." "Go easy." Zara accepted the challenge silently. That night, she found Mr. Malik sweeping the far corner of the dojo while the others practiced. "You haven't been coming early lately," he said with a small smile. Zara hesitated. "I'd started training somewhere else too." He paused. "I know." Her eyes widened. "You do?" "One of the students mentioned it, said you've been sneaking off. I told them you're just serious about learning." She felt warmth in her chest. "Thank you." He leaned on his broom. "Just remember, skill is a weapon, but heart is the hand that holds it. Don't lose one chasing the other." "I won't," she promised. Class began. Coach Harris was in a particularly bad mood. His shouts were louder, his criticism harsher. "Your form is garbage," he yelled at a boy with a green belt. You call that a punch? He turned his gaze on Zara and frowned. You, step up. She moved forward. He signaled another student tall, muscular boy named Kareem to spar with her. The same boy who had called her ballerina girl. On her first day, Kareem, the coach said, show her what real training looks like. The smirk on Kareem's face said it all. The room formed a circle. Zara bowed, and so did Kareem. Then he lunged. She dodged barely, his foot grazing her arm. The crowd whispered. Kareem struck again hard, fast, but not clean. Zara kept moving, staying low, remembering Rena's words. Use their strength. Don't meet it head on. She ducked under a punch and twisted, sweeping his leg slightly. He stumbled. Not a full fall, but enough for a gasp to rise from the circle. Coach Harris narrowed his eyes. Kareem rushed again, now angry. He hit her shoulder hard. Pain exploded through her arm, but she didn't fall. Instead, she stepped back, then landed a clean, precise strike to his chest. He froze, surprised. The room went quiet. Coach Harris raised a hand. Enough. Zara stepped back, panting. Kareem looked stunned, like he wasn't sure what had just happened. Lucky hit, someone muttered. But others stared at her differently. Now, not as a joke, not completely. After class, Coach Harris called her over. His voice was low, serious. You've improved. Who's training you? Zara hesitated. I've just been practicing. He stared at her. We'll see how long you last. She didn't reply. But as she walked past him, her back straight, she knew something had changed. At school, whispers followed her. Someone had posted another clip from the dojo spar. Zara's clean strike on Kareem. The caption read, Pink Belt Girl is back, and she's dangerous. Comments flooded in. Some supportive, some angry. She's getting special treatment. She's faking it. Bet she's sleeping with the coach. Zara read each one silently, then turned off her phone. She couldn't let it get inside her head. The next day at Rena's warehouse, she was more focused than ever. They sparred again, and while Rena still held the upper hand, Zara didn't fall this time. She stayed standing. She blocked more, moved quicker. You're learning, Rena said between breaths. But there's still fear in your feet. You hesitate. Next time, you'll pay for it. I won't, Zara promised. But she was lying to herself. The message still haunted her, that someone, somewhere, was watching, waiting. Rena threw her a bottle of water. You want to compete? Zara blinked. What? Tournaments. Real fights. No pads. No pity. Zara hesitated. I don't know if I'm ready. No one is. Until they're standing in the ring. Then you learn who you really are. Zara closed her eyes for a moment. Her father used to tell her the same thing. You never know how brave you are, he once said, until being brave is the only choice. She opened her eyes. Yes, I want it. Rena nodded. Good. There's a private match happening soon. Underground style. No official rules. But high-level fighters. You show up, and they'll know you're serious. What if Coach Harris finds out? Then let him, Rena said. Let them all find out. But Zara still felt the knot in her stomach. That evening she returned to the dojo just to practice alone. The room was empty, quiet. She stood in the center of the mat and went through her moves slowly, deliberately. You're improving fast, a voice said. Zara spun. It was Kareem, his face unreadable. Thanks, she said cautiously. But don't let it go to your head, he added, walking toward her. You got one hit. That's it. Don't think you're special. Zara tensed. I'm not trying to be. Then stop acting like it, he said, stepping closer. His eyes were hard, angry. You think people don't notice? The special treatment? The cameras? The way Harris looks at you now? I earned it, she said quietly. No, he snapped. You got lucky. You're a nobody with a pink belt pretending to be someone. Zara's hands curled into fists. I don't need to prove anything. To you, he laughed coldly. You already did. You proved you're a threat, and threats get crushed. He walked out, leaving the door swinging behind him. Zara stood alone, the silence suddenly heavy again. She felt a deep now jealousy, suspicion, danger, but underneath it all a spark. She walked to the mirror and looked at herself. Not the girl with the pink belt, the fighter, the warrior. She didn't smile, she didn't cry, she just stared. Because now she knew, the next battle wouldn't be on the mat, it would be outside, in whispers, in shadows. And someone had just declared war. That night, she got another message. No words, just a video. Grainy, dark. It showed her and Rena sparring at the warehouse. A camera hidden behind stacked crates. Her blood went cold. Below the video, one line of text. You're being watched. Make your next move wisely. Zara replayed the video again and again, her hands trembling slightly as she clutched her phone. The footage was shaky but clear enough to make out everything: her stance, her strikes, Rena's sharp corrections, and the fact that someone had been close enough to film them from the shadows without either of them knowing. It wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't just some curious passerby. Someone had followed her. Someone knew where she trained, and they wanted her to feel exposed, vulnerable. She sat on the edge of her bed, the buzzing sound of the ceiling fan above her blurring into the pounding in her ears. Her room was dark except for the glow from the phone. Her pink belt hung over the chair nearby, and for the first time, it felt like a target rather than a symbol. The text below the video echoed in her head. You're being watched. Make your next move wisely. But fear couldn't be the thing that stopped her now. Not after everything. Not after how far she'd come. She stood slowly, walked to her closet, and pulled out the pair of running shoes she had hidden under a pile of old schoolbooks. If they were watching, let them watch. She wasn't going to run from it. She was going to train harder. The next morning, the warehouse felt colder than usual. Rena was already stretching when Zara walked in. You're early, Rena said, not looking up. Something wrong? Zara hesitated. We've been watched? She handed Rena the phone, the video already queued up. Rena's face didn't change as she watched. Her silence stretched on until the video ended. Then she simply handed it back and said, So, Zara blinked. So, someone's spying on us. Doesn't that bother you? Of course it does, Rena replied. But what do you want to do? Stop training? No, then it doesn't matter. Rena stood and began wrapping her wrists. If they're watching, give them a show worth remembering. Zara nodded slowly. I want to fight. In that underground match you mentioned, Rena finally looked at her. It's dangerous. No referees. No safety gear. You could get seriously hurt. I'm not afraid, Zara said quietly. I need to prove something? To who? Rena asked them. Or yourself? Zara didn't answer. Rena didn't press. She just handed her gloves. Then let's prepare. Training that day was brutal. Rena pushed her harder than ever before. Her arms screamed. Her legs shook. Every drop of sweat that hit the mat felt like proof of something. Proof that she wasn't weak. Wasn't just some girl with a pink belt pretending to be brave. She was becoming something else. Something real. Again, Rena would say each time she got a move wrong. Again. And Zara did. Again and again, until her muscles burned and her vision blurred. But she didn't quit. Not once. After 2 hours, she collapsed against the wall, chest heaving. Rena sat beside her. You have a natural instinct, she said. But instincts alone won't save you out there. You need to trust your training. Zara nodded slowly. When is the match? 2 nights from now, Rena replied. It's invitation only. No spectators. You'll be tested. Good, Zara said. Let them test me. That evening, at the dojo, Coach Harris was waiting. He didn't say anything when Zara arrived, just stared at her. She bowed like always, but his eyes followed her for the rest of class. During warm-ups, she felt Kareem watching her too, his gaze sharp and full of questions. After class, Coach Harris called her over. You've been improving, rapidly. I've been practicing, she said carefully. With who? By myself. He narrowed his eyes. I know what you're doing. Where you're going. Zara's pulse spiked. I don't understand. You think I'm blind? That I don't see you sneaking off. That I don't hear the whispers. Don't test me. I'm just trying to learn, she said, keeping her voice even. Then learn here, not out there. You're not ready for that world. You'll embarrass yourself. And this dojo. Zara said nothing. One mistake, Coach Harris warned, and you're out. Understand? She bowed again and walked away. Her hands were shaking, but not from fear, from anger, from the pressure building under her ribs. That night, she received a message from a private number. It had a location, a time, and nothing else. The underground fight was real. 2 nights away, her heart pounded like a drum. When she told Rena the details, the older woman gave a curt nod. You'll be tested. Expect it to be unfair. Expect to be underestimated. That's your advantage. What if they try to hurt me? Then hurt them first. The day before the match, Zara arrived at the dojo earlier than usual. Mr. Malik was wiping down the mats. She stood silently for a moment before speaking. I'm fighting tomorrow. He turned slowly. Officially. She shook her head. Underground, Rena setting it up. His eyebrows lifted. It's not safe, I know. But it's the only way to prove I belong. Mr. Malik leaned on his mop. You already belong. You proved it when you showed up every day. When you got up after every fall. But no one sees that. You do. Isn't that enough? Zara blinked away the sting in her eyes. It has to be now. He nodded slowly. Then take this. He reached into his bag and pulled out an old worn mouthguard. I used this once, a long time ago. Saved my teeth more than once. Zara took it with reverence. Thank you. Be smart. Fight clean. Don't let anger blind you. I won't. The next night, she stood outside the location. An old, converted auto garage tucked between warehouses. Dim yellow light spilled from the cracked windows. Inside, the air buzzed with tension and adrenaline. Fighters stretched in corners. A thick mat had been laid down in the center. No ropes, no chairs. Just a circle. Zara stepped in. Heads turned. Some laughed. What's she doing here? Someone whispered. She lost. Another smirked. Rena stepped beside her. Ignore them. They'll know your name by the end of the night. Zara nodded, eyes scanning the room. Her opponent was already warming up. He was taller, older, and had shoulders like stone. She gulped. Her heart raced. But she stepped forward anyway. The crowd gathered. No announcer, no music. Just silence. Then a sharp clap. The signal. The fight began. The man rushed her, fast for his size. She ducked, rolled, barely missed. His kick. He came at her again, fists flying. One punch grazed her temple. Pain bloomed. She backed away, steadying her breath. "You're fast," he said, "but not fast enough." She didn't answer. She remembered Rena's voice. "Control the space. Don't let them dictate the rhythm." She moved in suddenly, landing 2 sharp body shots before he grabbed her arm and tossed her. Her body hit the mat hard. The wind rushed out of her lungs. The crowd murmured, but she got up, staggered, focused. She remembered her father's move, the one from the video she had found in his old notebook. She'd practiced it every night since. Now was the time. The man came at her again, cocky now. He threw a right hook. She ducked, spun under his arm, and used his momentum to flip him forward. He crashed to the ground, stunned. Gasps filled the room. She moved in, one clean strike to his chest. He didn't get up. The silence was deafening. Then someone clapped, then another, then more. Rena stepped forward, a rare smile on her face. "You did it." Zara's chest heaved. Sweat poured down her back, but she was standing. She had one. As she turned to leave the circle, she saw someone filming again. But this time, she didn't care. Let them watch. Let the whole world watch. She had proven herself. As she stepped out into the cool night air, her phone buzzed. Another message. No video, just words. "Impressive. But now you've made enemies. Hope you're ready for what comes next." Zara stared at the new message on her phone, the weight of its words pressing heavily on her chest. "Impressive. But now you've made enemies. Hope you're ready for what comes next." Her fingers gripped the phone tightly. This wasn't just about fighting anymore. Someone was watching, tracking, and possibly even plotting against her. But who? The parking lot outside the underground match location was nearly empty now. The only sounds were the buzzing street lamp above, and the occasional bark of a dog in the distance. Her heart beat slower now, but her mind was racing. Rena stood nearby, arms folded, her eyes still locked on the garage door they had exited. "You okay?" she asked without turning. "Another message," Zara said, threatening. Not directly, just. She paused, cold. Rena finally looked at her. "Good. That means you're being noticed. And in this world, when people notice, they either want to test you, use you, or break you." Zara nodded silently. "You need to be smarter now," Rena continued. "No more walking alone at night. No more trusting people just because they smile at you." "I wasn't planning to," Zara replied. "Good, because this isn't a game anymore. Pink belt." Zara almost smiled. Almost. The next morning, back at home, her mother noticed the bruises, a dark mark near her shoulder, a cut on her lip. "Zara," she said softly, "you said this place was safe." Zara didn't look up from her cereal. "It is? Most days. Most days," her mother repeated. "What's happening?" "I'm getting better," Zara said, pushing the spoon around her bowl. "That's what's happening." "You've changed," her mother whispered. "You walk different. Your voice sounds harder." Zara paused. "Do you not like it?" "I didn't say that," her mother replied. "I just don't want you to forget who you were before all this." "Maybe I needed to forget," Zara said, standing and grabbing her bag. "Maybe that girl wasn't strong enough." And just like that, she left. At the dojo, everything felt colder. The walls looked the same. The mats were still worn. The same posters hung, but the atmosphere had shifted. Coach Harris didn't greet her. He didn't need to. His silence said everything. He knew she could feel it. During warm-ups, Kareem glanced at her more than once. There was something different. In his expression, not anger, not mockery, caution. He was wary now. Zara saw it, and stored that knowledge away like a secret weapon. As class ended, Coach Harris finally spoke. "Zara, stay." The room cleared out slowly. Whispers floated behind backs. Doors creaked shut. Only Mr. Malik remained in the far corner, quietly mopping. Zara stood facing the coach, heart steady. "So," he said, arms folded. "You've been busy." "Training," she replied. "Fighting." "You think you're ready to fight just because you won one match?" She said nothing. "You think I don't know who you're with?" Zara's eyes narrowed slightly. "You were her coach once, weren't you?" That hit a nerve. His mouth twitched. She was undisciplined, arrogant. She thought she knew better. And look where that got her. "A national title," Zara said quietly, before she disappeared, because she didn't listen. She was reckless. "And now she's teaching you the same mistake?" "No," Zara said. "She's teaching me how to survive." Coach Harris stepped closer. "You think this little journey of yours ends with victory? It ends in injury. Or worse. And I won't let this dojo's name be dragged through the dirt by some girl pretending to be a warrior." "Then stop watching," Zara said coldly. "I never asked for your permission." His eyes blazed. "You're done here." Her chest tightened. "What? You heard me. Take your pink belt and leave." She could barely breathe. This place had been her start, her humiliation, her growth. And now, he was trying to erase her like she was nothing. "No," she said firmly. "You don't get to decide that. It's my dojo," he growled. "Not anymore," came a voice from the back. Both turned. Mr. Malik stood there, mop still in hand, his voice calm but heavy. "This dojo belonged to someone else before you," he said. "To someone who taught for heart, not ego." "Stay out of this," Harris snapped. "You're just the janitor." "I was more than that once," Mr. Malik said. And she's more than you'll ever admit. Harris looked like he might explode, but Zara stepped between them. Don't. He's not worth it. She grabbed her bag and bowed. Thank you for teaching me what not to become. Then she turned and walked out, heart pounding, tears burning the corners of her eyes. Mr. Malik followed quietly. Outside, she turned to him. Why did you speak up? Because I've seen this before, he said. I watched someone with real power be silenced by people who were scared of it. I couldn't let that happen again. She looked up at him. Who was it? My daughter, he said. She was a fighter. Better than most. But she got pushed out, bullied, shamed, and she quit. Is she okay now? He hesitated. She never picked it back up. She works a desk job, smiles less. I think part of her is still on that mat, wondering what could have been. Zara nodded. Thank you. Don't stop, he said. No matter what they say, keep going. That night, she told Rena everything. The confrontation, the banishment, Mr. Malik's story. Rena listened quietly, then poured them both tea. You're not the first they've tried to break, she said. But you might be the first too. Break back. I don't want revenge, Zara said. I just want to grow. Then grow louder, bigger publicly. Rena leaned forward. There's a tournament in 2 weeks, official open category. Scouts will be there, coaches, sponsors. Your name's already on the underground circuit. You show up there, and people will remember. Zara hesitated. Won't Harris try to block it? Let him, Rena said. You don't need him anymore. I'm scared, Zara admitted. Good, Rena replied. That means you care. Over the next several days, Zara trained harder than ever. Every punch, every kick, every breath was filled with fire. Her bruises healed slower now. Her muscles ached more, but she didn't complain. Not once. Even at school, people whispered the clip from her underground fight had leaked. Over 100,000 views now. Her classmates stared but didn't mock her anymore. Some even asked questions. Was it really you? Did you win? Can you teach me that move? Zara kept her answers short, focused, but inside she felt it change. Then, on a Wednesday morning, a letter arrived at her house, handwritten, no return address, just her name on the front. Her mother handed it to her with a raised eyebrow. Inside was a photo, her mid-fight, and written in black marker, 2 weeks until the real test. Let's see if you can still breathe after this. No signature, just the mark of someone who still wanted her to fail. She showed it to Rena, who studied it calmly. Whoever this is, they're not just angry. They're scared of me, of what you represent, Rena said. You're a mirror. You remind them of who they were, or who they couldn't be. So what now? Now you train like your life depends on it. And so she did. She trained until her bones ached, until her lungs burned, until the mirror no longer showed the same girl who walked into that dojo with a borrowed pink belt. 2 days before the tournament, while she was shadowboxing in the warehouse, Rena called her over. You need to see something. She pulled up her phone and showed a video. It was Coach Harris speaking in an interview with a local martial arts blogger. There are people who try to rise too quickly, he was saying. They think a couple of flashy moves mean they're ready. But when the real test comes, they crumble. They embarrass the craft. Was he talking about me? Zara asked. They didn't name you, Rena said. But we know who he meant. Zara stared at the screen, then took a deep breath. Then let him watch. Let them all watch. And when you win, Rena asked. What then? I'm not fighting to win, Zara replied. I'm fighting to be seen. And once they see me, they'll never forget me again. That night, another message came. A simple text. You've made it this far, but the ring has no mercy. Don't cry when you fall. Zara stared at it, then deleted it. No fear, no more doubt. Let them try to break her. Let them come. She wasn't that scared, lonely girl in a pink belt anymore. She was a fighter now, and they had no idea what was coming. The sun was still rising when Zara tied the bandage around her knuckles. The air inside the warehouse was sharp and cool, her breath forming light clouds. Today wasn't the tournament, it was the day before. The last day to train, to feel fear, to doubt herself, and the last day to choose courage anyway. She stood in front of the cracked mirror, staring into her own eyes. Her reflection no longer looked unsure. She saw someone focused, someone who had walked through fire. The bruises had faded, but they left behind something her memory. Memory of every time someone had laughed, every time someone said she didn't belong, every whisper, every shove, every scar. You ready? Rena called from behind her. Zara nodded. I don't think I've ever been more ready, Rena smirked. Then show me. They trained hard that morning, harder than any day before. Zara's kicks were sharper, her movement faster, but her mind it was calm now. Like all the noise in her head had finally gone quiet. She had made peace with who she was before, and now, she was ready to show who she had become. By afternoon, Rena called it. That's enough. No injuries today. We need you fresh. Zara sat on the edge of the mat, wiping sweat from her face. I feel like I'm standing on the edge of something. Like once I step forward, I can't go back. You're right, Rena said, kneeling beside her. This isn't about fighting anymore. It's about proving that you belong in a world that never wanted to make space for you. Zara looked down at her bandaged hands. You know what scares me most? What? That I'll win and still feel empty. Rena didn't answer at first. Then she said, if you win, and you still feel empty, then you'll know it wasn't about them, it was about you. That night, Zara barely slept. Her mother peeked into her room and saw her sitting by the window, wide awake. You should rest, she whispered. I can't, Zara replied. What if I don't make it tomorrow? What if I embarrass myself? Her mother walked in and sat beside her. When you were little, she said, you used to line up your dolls in a row and give them names. Each one had a story. You never played with them like other girls. You gave them meaning. Zara looked at her. You've always looked for meaning, her mother continued. But sometimes, Zara, the meaning is already there. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to fight for it. Tears welled in Zara's eyes. You were always enough. No matter what belt you wore. Zara rested her head on her mother's shoulder. Thank you. The next morning was quiet, still. The kind of stillness that feels like it's holding its breath. The venue was huge, bigger than anything Zara had stepped into before. Polished floors, bright lights, a crowd that buzzed with excitement. Fighters from across the region stood in clusters, warming up, stretching, focused. Some wore crisp white uniforms, others wore black or red, but only Zara wore the pink belt. People noticed. Some smiled, others frowned, but most just stared, unsure whether to laugh or stay silent. Zara walked past them like she didn't see a single one. Rena checked her name on the bracket. You're in the third round. Who's my opponent? Rena hesitated. Lana Dre. Zara blinked. You mean the Lana Dre is three-time champion? The same? Is this some kind of punishment? No, Rena said. It's the test. The one you've been walking toward since the beginning. Zara looked across the hall. Lana stood near her coach, stretching. She looked tall, powerful, unbothered. Her kicks reached higher than Zara's head. Her body moved with confidence and sharpness, like a blade. Zara swallowed hard. She's going to crush me? No, Rena said. She's going to meet you. The first two matches passed in a blur. Zara didn't even feel them. Her body moved like a machine, precise and silent. She won both. And then the announcement came. Next up, Lana Dre versus Zara Ali. Zara stepped onto the mat. Her heartbeat thundered in her ears. Lana approached with calm steps, eyes unreadable. She looked down at Zara's pink belt and gave a small smirk. Cute, she said. Zara didn't respond. The referee signaled. The match began. Lana was fast, faster than anyone Zara had fought. Her strikes came like lightning, but Zara blocked. The first, dodged the second, landed a kick to Lana's thigh. The crowd gasped. For a moment. Zara thought she imagined it, but no, she had just touched a champion. Lana's eyes sharpened. The next round she came harder. A jab to the shoulder. A roundhouse that brushed Zara's ribs. Pain bloomed. But Zara didn't stop. She took the hit, twisted, and countered with a low sweep. Lana fell. The crowd roared. Zara backed away, chest heaving. Lana stood slowly, her expression different now. Focused, respectful. The final round was brutal. Every second, a war. Kicks collided, fists cracked air. Neither girl gave in, and when the final buzzer rang, the referee raised his hand. Winner, Zara Ali. The stadium was silent for half a second. Then it erupted. Zara stood frozen. She'd won. She had just beaten Lana Dre. Rena ran to her, grabbing her by the shoulders. You did it. You did it, Zara. Lana approached, sweat glistening on her forehead. She extended a hand. Zara took it. You earned that, Lana said. Zara nodded. Breathless. As she stepped off the mat, cameras turned toward her. Interviewers rushed forward. Reporters asked questions. How does it feel to beat the champion? Well, you continue competing. What does the pink belt stand for? Zara looked straight into one of the cameras and said clearly, it stands for every girl who was told she didn't belong. That night, the clip went viral. Millions of views, hundreds of thousands of shares. Her name trended online. Zara Ali, the girl with the pink belt. But the moment of victory was short. At 1:03 a.m., her phone buzzed. A single message. No name, no number. You got lucky. The next one won't be so easy. You've made the wrong people angry. She stared at it, a chill running down her spine. Rena, she whispered, showing her the phone. Rena frowned. They're not stopping. Who are they? I think it's time you met someone, Rena said. Someone who's been in this game longer than me. Someone who's faced these shadows before. Zara hesitated. Can I trust them? You'll have to, Rena said, because what's coming next isn't just a fight. And as Zara stared into the darkness outside her window, she knew it too. This was no longer just about belts or trophies. It was about survival, and she was ready. So she hoped. Zara didn't sleep that night. The message on her phone echoed through her head like a distant alarm that wouldn't stop ringing. Her hands trembled as she read it over and over again. You got lucky. The next one won't be so easy. You've made the wrong people angry. Every time she blinked, she imagined someone outside her window. Someone watching her. Someone waiting. Rena paced the living room like a general before a war. This is more than just some jealous fighter. I know what this feels like. I've seen it before. Zara sat still on the couch, hugging her knees. Then who is it? Rena stopped and stared at her. People who make money from keeping things the way they are. You beating Lana didn't just win a trophy, You broke a chain. Someone's power just cracked, and now they're scared you'll do it again. Zara whispered, What do they want from me? Silence, Rena said. They want you to disappear, quietly, before more girls start tying pink belts and believing they can win. Zara stood up, her eyes heavy with exhaustion but burning with fire. I won't disappear. Rena gave a small smile. I didn't think you would. Later that day, they took a train across the city to a quiet neighborhood where even the dogs barked politely. The streets were clean, the houses old but strong. They stopped in front of a brown door with peeling paint. Rena knocked 3 times, then waited. The door creaked open slowly. A tall woman stood behind it, her hair tied in a tight gray braid, her eyes sharp like broken glass. Rena, she said. You brought her. Zara stepped forward. I know who you are, the woman interrupted. Come in. Her house smelled like old books and strong tea. Photos lined the walls. Trophies sat on high shelves. But most of all, there were scars on the walls, the floors, the woman's face. Rena whispered, This is Isla. She was a national champion before politics took everything from her. Isla walked slowly, her limp noticeable. They didn't take everything, she said. They just made me dangerous. Zara sat across from her, unsure of what to say. Isla stared at her for a long time. You fight good, but that won't be enough now. You embarrass someone powerful, and they'll want to humiliate you in return. They won't try to beat you in the ring. They'll destroy you outside it. Zara clenched her fists. Then teach me how to survive. Isla didn't smile, but her eyes softened slightly. You have no idea what you're asking. The next few weeks were brutal. Isla trained her like no one else ever had. Not just to fight, but to think, to anticipate, to endure. She taught Zara how to read movement, how to find weakness in confidence, how to stay 2 steps ahead even when cornered. You can't rely on strength, Ayla said. They'll find someone stronger, but you can outthink them, outsmart them, outlast them. At night, Zara would ice her knees, her arms, her ribs. The training didn't stop when it rained. It didn't stop when she bled. Allah didn't believe in mercy. Because the world won't give you any, she'd say. One night, after a long session, Zara collapsed onto the mat, breathless. I don't know if I can take another hit. Isla crouched beside her. You already have, Zara. Every time they laughed at your belt, every time they whispered behind your back, every time they doubted you. You took the hit, and look where you are now. Zara's phone buzzed again the next morning. Another message. Hope you enjoyed your little victory. The next fight will end differently. You'll wish you never stepped into the ring. Zara showed it to Rena, and Ayla. Ayla narrowed her eyes. They're not bluffing. They've chosen someone to break you. Who? Zara asked. You'll find out soon. The next day, the tournament schedule was released. Zara stared at her name. Then, at the name next to it, Sasha Ren. The undefeated Russian champion. 6 feet tall, ruthless, known for her knockout punches and colder heart. Ayla raised an eyebrow. They're not hiding anymore. Rena frowned. They want to crush you in front of everyone. Zara's chest tightened. Can I beat her? Ayla's voice was calm. You don't have to. You just have to survive. Her. That will be worse for them. Word spread quickly. The internet was buzzing again. Pink belt girl faces her doom. Sasha Ren to end the hype. This won't last a minute. Zara refused to read the comments, but she could feel their weight in the air. Even in training, her hands started shaking. Doubt seeped in. What if she wasn't enough? 3 nights before the fight, she had a nightmare. She stood alone in the ring. The crowd laughed. Sasha towered over her like a shadow, and every time Zara moved, the floor beneath her crumbled. She woke up screaming. Her mother rushed in. It's okay, she whispered, hugging her tight. No, it's not, Zara cried. They want to break me. Her mother pulled back and looked her in the eyes. Then let them try. The night before the fight, Ayla took her outside to a rooftop overlooking the city. The lights below blinked like stars trapped on Earth. You see that? Ayla said. Every light is someone who believes in something. Maybe it's love, maybe it's family, maybe it's power. Tomorrow, when you fight, find your light. Don't let them take it. Zara closed her eyes and breathed in. Her body ached, her mind swirled. But deep inside, under the fear and the bruises and the doubt, there was something unshakable, a flame. The day of the fight arrived like thunder. Reporters crowded the arena, fans filled the seats. The energy was thick and electric. Zara stood in the locker room, lacing her shoes, tightening her pink belt one last time. Rena placed a hand on her shoulder. You know who you are? Don't let her change that. Ayla nodded. She will try to break you. Let her try. Let the world watch her fail. Zara stepped into the ring. The lights blinded her for a moment, then came the sound of the announcer. In this corner, Sasha Ren, the Iron Fist. Cheers, shouts. Sasha walked out like a warrior, stone-faced and tall, and in this corner, Zara Ali, the girl with the pink belt. The applause was mixed. Some cheered, some laughed, some just watched. Waiting, Zara looked at Sasha, stared back, cold and silent. The bell rang, and just like that, the war began. The first punch came like a missile. Zara barely dodged it. Sasha's speed was terrifying, her strength unmatched. Every hit that landed shook Zara's bones. But she didn't fall. She bent. She twisted. She endured. By the second round, Sasha grew frustrated. Zara wasn't breaking. She wasn't scared. And then it happened. Sasha swung high. Zara ducked low, and with a breath and all her weight behind her, she launched a spinning back kick that landed straight on Sasha's side. The crowd gasped. Sasha stumbled. The bell rang again. Round over. Zara walked back to her corner, her heart racing, body trembling. She had survived the first storm, but as she sat down, Isla leaned close and whispered, "She's angry now, and angry fighters are dangerous." Zara looked across the ring at Sasha, who now glared at her not like prey but like a challenge, and as the bell rang again for the final round, Zara knew this fight wasn't about winning, it was about standing, and she was still on her feet, for now. The final round began, and Zara could feel her heartbeat in her throat. Every sound around her faded the announcer's voice. The chants from the crowd, even Rena's distant instructions from the corner. It was just her and Sasha now. Two Bodhi's in a silent war. Sasha came in fast, faster than before. This time her fists had fury behind them, not just strategy. Her pride had been bruised, and now she was swinging with something personal. Zara blocked the first punch but staggered. Under the weight of it, the second one grazed her shoulder. The third landed hard against her ribs. She gasped, feeling her balance shift, but she kept her feet grounded. The audience could sense the momentum had changed. Cheers erupted for Sasha. A few people in the front row even started laughing again. "This is it," someone shouted. "She's done." But inside Zara's mind, something else was happening. Each hit hurt, yes, but it also reminded her of every time she'd been underestimated, every time they looked past her, every time they dismissed her because of a pink belt. The pain fed her fire, and that fire was no longer a flicker, it was burning. She circled Sasha, her breathing tight, her body aching. Sasha smirked. "You're weaker than the videos made you look." Zara didn't reply. She had learned by now that true strength didn't need words. She waited. Sasha launched another attack, a roundhouse kick, this time aimed at Zara's head, but Zara saw it coming. Just as Ayla taught her, she dropped to the floor, spun with her leg extended, and swept Sasha off her feet. Gasps filled the stadium. Sasha hit the mat hard, slamming her fist down as she got up, humiliated. But it wasn't over. She rushed Zara again, her fists wild and angry. Zara ducked, pivoted, and threw two quick punches, one to the ribs, one to the jaw. They weren't knockouts, but they rattled Sasha. The crowd could feel the shift. For the first time in her career, Sasha Wren looked unsure, but then something happened that none of them expected. Sasha stepped back, clutched her side, and gave a tiny nod, barely noticeable. The referee hesitated, then checked on her. Zara waited, unsure if it was a trick. Then Sasha raised one glove and said, "I can't continue." The entire arena froze. Zara stood still, blinking in disbelief. The referee stepped forward, held Zara's hand up high, and declared, "Winner by forfeit, Zara Ali." There was a long silence. Then the noise erupted. Some clapped, some shouted in confusion, and others just stood, stunned. Zara didn't smile. She didn't raise her fists. She looked across at Sasha, who was walking away with her head down. No words, no excuses, just quiet defeat. Back in the locker room, Zara sat in silence as Rena and Alla entered. Rena burst into a proud grin. "You did it, Zara. You didn't just fight her, you made her quit." Alla didn't say much. She knelt beside her and whispered, "Now they're going to come after you in a different way." Zara looked up. "What do you mean?" Alla replied. "You've proven you're more than lucky. You've proven you're a threat." This wasn't just about Sasha. She was a symbol, the one they sent to crush you. But now they'll want control or revenge. The next morning, Zara's face was on every sports headline. Pink belt girl shocks the world. The queen has fallen. Zara Ali forces champion to quit. Sponsors started calling. Brands wanted interviews. TV channels begged for appearances. But Zara felt uneasy. The victory didn't bring peace. It brought more eyes. And more eyes meant more enemies. One call stood out. A private number. Rena answered it, and passed the phone to Zara. The voice on the other end was cold, deep, and unfamiliar. "Congratulations. But don't get comfortable. You're just embarrassed. Someone who doesn't like losing, we're watching you." Zara didn't respond. The voice continued. "Accept our offer. Walk away. We'll make sure you're taken care of. But if you don't, the next fight won't be in the ring." The call ended. Zara sat frozen. Rena stared at her. "Who was it?" Zara whispered. "Someone who's not used to hearing no." Isla nodded. "It's begun." 2 days later, strange things started happening. A brick was thrown through the gym window. Rena's car tires were slashed. Zara's social media accounts were flooded with violent threats. The authorities were called, but no fingerprints. No cameras. Nothing. Alla made a decision. "We leave tonight. Somewhere no one knows us. Just for a while." They packed fast. No goodbyes. Zara left behind her medals, her training gear, everything except her pink belt. It was the only thing she kept tied around her wrist, like a symbol of resistance. They moved into a quiet rural house owned by one of Ayla's old friends. No neighbors, no press, just woods, silence, and time. Time to heal. time to think. But the isolation didn't bring peace either. Zara started having vivid dreams, again being chased, falling, screaming, in a stadium with no sound. She woke up gasping every night. I don't know who I am anymore, she whispered to Rena one evening. I wanted to be strong, not hunted. Rena looked at her gently. Being strong doesn't mean you don't feel scared. It means you keep going anyway. Ayla added from the doorway. This fear, they feed on it. The longer you hide, the more powerful they feel. Zara stared at the horizon. Then I'll stop hiding. The next morning, she walked into the local village, found a dusty gym, and offered to teach girls self-defense for free. The gym owner laughed at first until she showed him her moves. Soon, girls from nearby towns started arriving, curious, awkward, but eager. Zara tied her pink belt again, this time around her waist, and began teaching. Kicks, blocks, stamina, but more than that, confidence. A month passed. Then too, the threats stopped. The press forgot. But Zara didn't, because something inside her had changed. She no longer needed a stage. She had her purpose, not until one day. A black car pulled up outside the gym. A man stepped out well-dressed. Sunglasses, earpiece. He walked up to her and said, "There's someone who wants to meet you. Someone who thinks your story isn't finished." Yet Zara didn't flinch. Who? The man handed her a card. No name, just a gold symbol. And a phone number. Rena looked at it. This isn't over, is it? Zara shook her head. No, I think it's just beginning. That night, as she stood alone in the field behind the house, she looked up at the stars. Her phone buzzed again. A new message, this one simple. You survived, Sasha. But can you survive the truth? Zara stared at the screen, and for the first time in weeks, she smiled. Let them come. Zara stared at the message again and again. You survived, Sasha, but can you survive the truth? It wasn't just a threat. It was a challenge. One she didn't understand yet, but it stirred something old inside her curiosity. Picard, the man had given her earlier, was still on the table. A golden symbol that looked like a dragon curling around a flame. No name, no address, just a phone number. Rena didn't trust it. It's probably a trap. They want you out in the open. Again, Ayla was silent for a long moment. Then she whispered, that symbol? I've seen it before. A long time ago. Zara looked at her, where Ayla hesitated. It's the mark of the Shadow Guild. Zara frowned. Shadow Guild. Rena laughed. Sounds like something out of a movie. But Ayla wasn't. Smiling. It's real. Not a gang, not exactly. More like a private network. Fighters, strategists, former champions. They don't follow any rules, and they don't appear unless there's something at stake. Zara stared at the card again. So what do they want with me? Ayla looked her dead in the eye. They don't recruit losers. The next morning, Zara walked alone to the edge of the forest where the signal on her phone was strong. She dialed the number. 1 ring, 2. Then a voice picked up, calm British accent. You're brave. Most wouldn't call. Zara kept her voice steady. What do you want from me? The voice replied. To offer you the truth. Not about Sasha, about what she was protecting, about why you were targeted. You think your fight was about sport, but it never was. It was a test, and you passed. Zara felt her throat tighten. Past what? The voice didn't answer directly. There's a van waiting for you at the northern gas station. Get in, or burn the card. Your choice. But once it's gone, the door doesn't open again. The call ended. Rena and Ayla argued when she told them. You're not going alone, Rena insisted. But Zara knew this was something she had to face. Herself, you trained me to fight, she told Ayla. Now let me fight for the truth. That evening, she found the van exactly where the voice said it would be. Black. Tinted windows. No logos. She climbed in. The driver didn't speak. He handed her a blindfold and gestured. Zara hesitated, then tied it over her eyes. The drive felt endless, an hour, maybe more. No sound except tires on gravel. When the van finally stopped, the door opened. A firm hand helped her down. The blindfold was removed. Zara found herself in a giant underground hall, dimly lit, filled with mirrors, and punching bags and steel doors. A woman stood across from her, tall, early 40s, hair slicked back, wearing a black suit with silver stripes. Welcome, Zara, she said. I'm Lyra, head of the guild. Zara didn't respond. Lyra smiled slightly. Still learning not to trust so easily. Good. She walked in a circle around Zara. You've shaken the balance. Sasha was our gatekeeper. She controlled who rose, who fell. You humiliated her on live television. That wasn't supposed to happen. Zara clenched her fists. I didn't come here to be scolded. Lyra nodded. Good. Then let's not waste time. She tossed a folder on the table. Inside is everything you need to know. Your name wasn't chosen randomly. You were watched for years. Trained. Without knowing. Prepared. Zara opened the folder. Her birth certificate. Hospital records. Pictures from her childhood. A letter written by someone named Camille Ali, her father. She blinked. My father died in a car crash. Lyra shook her head. That's the story you were told. But it wasn't a crash. It was an execution. Zara's knees nearly gave out. She gripped the table. You're lying. Lyra stepped closer. He was one of us. one of the last fighters to challenge the old regime. He refused to throw a match. So they made it look like an accident. Your mother knew. That's why she kept you hidden. That's why you changed cities so often, and now they're watching you for the same reason they watched him. You're too good and too honest. Zara stood still. The folder slipped from her hands. All those years she thought she was invisible, unwanted, but she had been protected. Why are you telling me this now? Lyra leaned in. Because the guild is splitting. Some believe in the system. Others, like me, believe it must fall. You have a choice. Stay out of it. Or help us bring down the ones who killed your father. Zara's voice shook. You want me to join? Lyra shook her head. I want you to lead. The training began that night. Not just physical, mental, strategic. Zara was taught how to read people, how to disarm an enemy with one sentence, how to control a room without raising her voice. She sparred with warriors twice her size, men who had never lost until she stepped into the ring. But it wasn't easy. There were moments she collapsed in exhaustion. Times she broke down crying. Days when she screamed at the walls, why me? And through it all, Lyra never comforted her, only pushed harder. The ones who win history are the ones who carry scars, she said. 3 weeks passed, then, one morning, Lyra handed her a new file. It's time, she said. There's a tournament, not televised, invitation only. The top 10 from every region, but this time, no rules, no cameras, and no forgiveness. Zara opened the file. At the top, Black Sun Arena. Below that, pictures of her opponents, Sasha's cousin, a brutal fighter from Russia, a blindfolded woman known as Whisper, and at the end of the list, someone with no name, just a symbol, the same one that killed her father. Zara looked at Lyra. If I do this, I may not come back. Lyra nodded. That's why you must. Bevan returned. This time no blindfold. Zara rode in silence. Her pink belt now worn around her wrist like a promise. At the edge of the city, she stepped out and found Rena and Ayla waiting. Rena ran and hugged her tight. You disappeared for a month. Ayla studied her face. You're different. Zara looked down. I know things now. Things I can't unknow. They walked back together to the old gym. Zara didn't say much, but she hugged them both tighter than ever before. That night, she stood in front of the mirror. Her eyes weren't afraid anymore. They were steady, focused. The mirror showed a pink belt wrapped loosely around her wrist. Not a weakness. Not a joke. A warning. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. The message read, Black Sun Arena, Gate 9. Midnight, no crowd, no mercy. Zara didn't blink. She picked up her bag, tied her hair, and whispered to herself, let's finish what he started. She walked into the night, and behind her, the wind whispered softly through the trees almost like applause. The entrance to Black Sun Arena wasn't marked. It wasn't even lit, just a tall rusted gate with the number 9 barely hanging from the frame, crooked like a broken tooth. Zara stepped out of the car alone, her hoodie pulled low over her face, pink belt wrapped tightly around her wrist like armor. The air smelled like oil and metal. Somewhere inside, echoes of fists hitting pads bounced off concrete walls. No music, no cheering, just focus, just silence. She stepped through the gate, her heart steady. There was no turning back now. Not after what she had learned. Not after the truth about her father, the man with no grave, no justice, only secrets buried beneath fear and money. Inside. The arena was darker than she expected. The ceiling was high, the floor stained with years of sweat and blood. No banners, no names. Just 10 fighters, each standing in their own circle marked with white chalk. 10 spots, 9 enemies. One her, no referee, no cameras, no announcer, just a low voice crackling through a speaker. Only one walks away undefeated. Fight begins in 10 minutes. Zara looked around. Most of the fighters didn't glance at each other. They were still controlled. Some meditated, others shadowboxed. She recognized 2 from the file Lyra gave her. The Russian brute with scars across his knuckles, and Whisper the blindfolded woman with a scar across her lips, and a presence that felt colder than winter itself. But the one that held her gaze was the one at the far end. Dressed in all black, head shaved, no expression, no name. Just that golden dragon symbol stitched across their glove. The same symbol that haunted her childhood. The one on the file? The one on her father's final letter. Her blood went cold. Zara found her circle. She didn't warm up. She didn't stretch. She knelt and placed her hand on the floor, closing her eyes. For a brief second, the chaos around her faded. She saw her mother smiling through tired eyes, Rena screaming in the audience, Ayla's calm voice pushing her forward, and her father's voice deep, steady, saying, we fight not to win, but to wake the world. The speaker clicked again. Begin. The first match wasn't hers. It was Whisper against a man twice her size. No one cheered. They just watched. Whisper moved like smoke. No footsteps. No wasted energy. She disarmed him in under a minute, snapping his arm with such calm it made the audience flinch. He didn't scream. He just lay still as medics dragged him away. Whisper bowed once, returned to her place, never removing her blindfold. Then it was Zara's turn. Zara versus Tagger. the voice called. Taggart was a talker, a street-style fighter with gold teeth and a cocky smirk. He circled her, grinning pink belt. Girl, you lost already. Zara didn't move. He charged. She ducked, twisted, and landed a spinning elbow to his ribs that knocked the wind out of him. He stumbled back, swinging wildly. She ducked again, and with one sweep, took his legs out. As he fell, she pressed her knee against his chest, and whispered, "Still think it's just a color?" He tapped out. The room was silent. Zara walked back to her circle, eyes never leaving the fighter in black. That one didn't flinch, didn't blink. Round after round passed. Fighters were eliminated. Some matches ended in seconds. Others dragged out, brutal and ugly. Bones cracked. One man was carried out unconscious. Another refused to stand and walked out instead. Zara kept winning. Each fight was harder. Her knuckles bled. Her knee twisted during the third match. She was cut under her eye by the fourth. But something deeper than pain kept her upright. She wasn't just fighting for herself now. She was fighting for every girl who had been laughed at, doubted, discarded, for her father, for the truth. And then was the final round. Zara versus the fighter in black. The room darkened. Only a single circle remained lit. The voice over the speaker was colder this time. Final match, Zara versus Ghost. Ghost. So that was their name. They stepped forward, silent, taller than Zara, lean, not bulky. Their gloves crackled as they touched. No expression, just a quiet aura of danger, like a storm about to strike. Zara rolled her neck, fists clenched. "I know who you are," she said quietly. "You worked for the ones who killed my father." Ghost tilted their heads slightly, then whispered, "Your father chose death. You're choosing foolishness." Zara didn't wait. She lunged out. Their first exchange was lightning fast. Zara struck high. Ghost blocked. She feinted. Low. Ghost countered. Their feet danced across the concrete like shadows. No time to think, just instinct, just survival. Ghost was fast, but Zara was faster. She landed a kick to their ribs, only for them to grab her leg and spin her into the wall. Her shoulder hit the bricks with a dull thud. Pain shot down her spine. She staggered, but before she could recover, Ghost's elbow came down toward her head. She ducked, rolled, came up swinging. She hit their jaw. Ghost staggered. The crowd made a noise, just a breath, a ripple. Ghost smiled for the first time, and then they removed their gloves. Zara blinked. "What are you doing?" Ghost raised bare fists. "No more rules." The next round was brutal. No time to breathe, no mercy. Ghost fought like a machine. Zara blocked what she could, dodged what she couldn't. Her ribs ached. Blood dripped from her nose, but her eyes burned with purpose. She remembered Ayla's words. Don't fight the opponent's body. Fight their belief. Zara let her hands drop slightly, let herself look tired. Ghost smirked and moved in. Right when their guard dropped, Zara feinted left, twisted midair, and landed a crushing back kick straight to the chest. Ghost stumbled. For the first time, uncertain. Zara stood tall, breathing hard. "You were never fighting me," she whispered. "You were fighting a ghost." Ghost charged again, but Zara was ready. She locked their wrist mid-punch, twisted under their arm, and slammed them to the floor with the same move Ayla had once called impossible. The ground shook. Silence. Ghost didn't move. Zara stepped back. The speaker crackled. "Match over winner Zara." No applause, no trophy, just heavy silence. Ghost sat up slowly, looked at her, and then nodded. Zara turned and walked away. Lyra met her at the back gate. She held no smile, just a quiet nod. "You didn't just win a fight tonight," she said. "You sent a message." Zara's voice was raw. "Did they hear it?" Lyra looked back at the arena. "They did, and they won't stay silent for long." Zara's phone buzzed. Unknown number again. This time, the message was simple. "You survived. But now they come for the ones around you." Zara's heart dropped. Ayla. Her mother. Lyra saw the fear in her eyes. "You have two choices. Run and hide, or go to them before the storm hits." Zara didn't wait. She ran, back through the gate, back through the night, back to protect the people she loved most. But she knew now it wasn't just about survival anymore. It was war, and she was ready. Zara didn't stop running until her legs gave out beneath her. Her lungs were burning, her hands trembling, her hoodie drenched in sweat and blood. The message from the unknown number echoed in her mind like a drumbeat. "You survived, but now they come for the ones around you." She didn't know who they were exactly, but she knew what they were capable of. She had just fought one of them, and that was only a taste. Lyra's car screeched to a stop beside her. "Get in," she said. "No time for questions." Zara climbed in. "Where's my mother?" she asked, barely able to speak through the adrenaline. "Safe," Lyra replied, eyes fixed on the road. "I sent 2 men to watch her place. Barina, I lost contact with her 20 minutes ago." Zara's heart skipped. "What? Why didn't you say anything?" Lyra's jaw tightened. "Because panic slows you down. But now you need to know Rena might already be in danger." The car sped, through red lights and narrow alleys. Every second stretched into eternity. When they reached Rena's apartment, the door was already open. Zara ran inside without waiting. "Rena," she shouted. Silence. The apartment looked normal at first. No signs of struggle. Then she saw Itrina's phone on the floor. Screen cracked. The wallpaper was still Zara's pink belt photo. Zara picked it up, staring at it for a moment, trying to control the fear rising inside her. Then she saw something else. A note stuck to the fridge. Only 5 words written in black ink. She's safer than you think. Zara froze. What does that mean? Lyra walked over, scanning the note. They didn't hurt her, she said carefully. This is bait. Zara stepped back. Fists clenched. They want me to follow. They want me to walk into whatever trap they've set. Lyra nodded slowly. And you will. But not alone. That night, they went underground. Lyra called in 2 people Zara had never met before: Marco, a hacker who once worked inside the same intelligence ring that buried her father's case, and Kay, an ex-fighter, who now worked as a private ghost tracker for elite clients. This is your team now, Lyra said, handing Zara a file. Read fast. We don't have much time. The file was thin, but what it revealed made Zara's blood turn to ice. Her father hadn't just been a whistleblower. He had built a site called ARC, a data vault that could expose dozens of corrupt officials, corporate players, and high-ranking military names. But the vault was encrypted with one thing: his DNA. And after his death, the only person who shared that key was Zara. They've been watching you for years, Marco said, waiting for the moment you'd start digging. Now you're in too deep to back out. Zara leaned against the wall, her mind spinning. So they took Rena because they know I'll come for her. They didn't just take her, Kay replied, her voice steady. They're using her as a final test. If you pass, they'll offer you a place at their table. If you fail, they erase you. It wasn't a theory, Dad, it was a promise. Zara looked around the room. This wasn't about revenge anymore. This was about legacy, about truth, about breaking something so massive that people would either call her a hero or a liar. Either way, she was ready. Where is she? She asked. Marco pulled up a map on the screen. Last ping from her phone was triangulated here. He zoomed in. An abandoned warehouse near the edge of the city. No security cameras, no neighbors, just silence. They'll be watching the perimeter, Lyra warned. We need a plan, Zara nodded. We won't go through the front. That night, under the cover of a blackout, they moved. Zara wore black. No pink belt, no color, just silence. Kay and Marco handled surveillance. Lyra stayed on. Zara slipped in through the old drainage pipe behind the warehouse. Every step echoed, every shadow felt like a trap. But she didn't hesitate, not this time. She found Rena tied to a chair, gagged, unharmed, but scared. Zara's heart swelled with relief, but she didn't rush in. Something felt wrong, too easy. She scanned the room. Nothing, no movement, just flickering lights above. Then she saw it, a camera in the corner, watching her, recording the moment she took one step toward Rena. The screen behind her flickered on. A man appeared, older, gray suit, calm voice. You've done well, Zara, he said. Stronger than your father, smarter than we expected. But you're making the same mistake he did. Zara didn't speak. She just stared at the screen. Let her go, she finally said. The man smiled. We will, but only after you listen. What followed was a story Zara had never expected. The man on the screen, known only as Corvain, explained that her father once led them. That arc wasn't meant to destroy the city, was meant to control it. He changed, Corvain said. He tried to make it public, tried to warn people. That was his mistake. Zara's fists clenched. And mine. Corvain's smile faded. You're at a fork. Join us. Inherit what your father built, or burn with it. Zara stepped forward, her voice cold. My father died for the truth. You think I'll betray that now? Corvain leaned forward, his voice chilling. We don't need you to betray it. We just need you to doubt it. Then the lights cut. The room went black. For a second, Zara couldn't see. Then movement, footsteps, breathing. They were coming. 3 men. Armed, Zara moved fast, slid behind a table, grabbed a pipe. Her body ached from the previous fights. But her mind was sharp. She struck the first man in the knee. He dropped. A second lunged. She ducked, slammed his head into the wall. The third reached for her, but Rena, free now, had kicked the chair over and screamed, distracting him just long enough for Zara to elbow him in the throat. They were down, but alarms were blaring. She pulled Rena up. Can you walk? I can. Run, Rena said, eyes fierce. They sprinted through the side door just as the building began to lock down. Outside, Lyra's car was waiting. Kay covered them from the roof. Marco jammed the signals. They escaped into the night. Barely in the car. Rena stared at Zara. What the hell did you just drag me into? Zara didn't answer. She was staring at her wrist. Her pink belt, now stained with blood and dirt, had been tied around her forearm the entire time. A reminder, a promise. That car was quiet, until Lyra spoke. You said no to him. Zara nodded. Won't take that well. I don't care. Lyra's eyes met hers in the mirror. Then prepare, because Corvain doesn't play fair, and he doesn't forget. Zara looked out the window. The city lights flickered past, indifferent to the war that had just begun beneath their surface. She had survived again, but now it wasn't just about survival. It was about dismantling everything they had built, brick by brick. Lie by lie. And it would start with Ark. She had the key. They had the secrets, but she had the truth. And nothing was more dangerous than a girl who refused to stay silent. The next morning, her mother found a package at the door. Inside ate an old photo. Her father, smiling. And a note in neat handwriting. If she doesn't stop, she'll end up just like him. The photo haunted Zara all night. Her father smiling on the edge of a rooftop, wind catching his coat, eyes full of something Zara could never quite name. Was it hope or regret? And below the photo, the message. If she doesn't stop, she'll end up just like him. Her mother had found the envelope in the mailbox that morning. No return address, no fingerprints. Just that photo, sealed in a clean white packet like it had never been touched by human hands. Zara stared at it now. Hands, shaking. Her mother sat across from her, silent. She hadn't said anything since she read the note, but the look in her eyes said everything. Fear, grief, exhaustion. I won't end up like him, Zara finally whispered. Her mother's voice came like a thread of glass. They're telling you what they did, and what they'll do again. Zara's jaw clenched. Then I won't give them the chance. The team gathered later that night. Lyra had traced the signal from the camera inside the warehouse. It had bounced through at least 8 countries before returning to a dead node under the Cydia long-defunct subway tunnel that hadn't seen a train in 20 years. That's where they're hiding the Ark servers, Marco said. Off-grid, buried under concrete, but still active. Kay lit a cigarette with shaking hands. You realize what this means? They never destroyed Ark. They've been using it, all these years. Zara leaned over the blueprint. Then we shut it down. Lyra raised an eyebrow. You're talking about breaking into a military-level encrypted facility built by a shadow government your father once led. That's not a shutdown. That's suicide. Zara looked up, eyes fierce. If I don't do this, they'll keep doing what they've always done. Blackmail, control, fear. If they want to remind me how my father died, fine. But they're about to learn how his daughter fights. The plan was simple, on paper. Zara and Marco would go in through the old train shaft, breach the ventilation system, and reach the central server room. Lyra and Kay would stay above ground, rerouting security protocols and intercepting backup teams. Rena volunteered to stay, with Zara's mother. I'll keep her safe, she said. Just promise me you'll come back. Zara didn't answer. She couldn't. At 3 a.m., the team moved. The city slept. But under it, war stirred. Zara climbed down the rusted ladder first, boots scraping metal. Marco followed. The shafts smelled of rot and engine oil. When they hit ground level, the silence wrapped around them like a wet blanket. You good? Marco asked. Never better, she whispered, voice hard. The tunnel stretched before them, long dark, filled with the ghosts of trains that no longer ran. They moved quietly. At the far end, an old generator buzzed. Behind it, a thick steel door, coated and locked. Marco knelt, typing rapidly. Give me 60 seconds. Zara scanned the tunnel. Her father once walked these corridors, built these failsafes. Did he know his daughter would someday return to destroy them? The lock clicked. They were in. The hallway beyond was clean. Too clean, like something out of a hospital or a lab. Zara's boots echoed off the tiles. At the end of the corridor, a massive room opened up, servers humming, screens flashing with surveillance feeds, facial recognition scans, military intelligence. In the center of it all, a single console. Marco gasped. That's it, Ark Core. Zara stepped forward. The screen lit up. Welcome, Zara Ellen Marlowe. Her full name, her father's encryption, the system recognized her. Marco began the extraction. We can copy it. We can leak it all. Emails, locations, names. This could bring down half the country's power elite. Zara stared at the screen. Her father's legacy, her family's curse. Then a voice filled the room. Well done, Zara. Core, VEN. She turned. The screen behind them flickered to life. His face appeared calm, amused. I knew you'd make it here. You had to see it. The machine your father made. The machine you were born to inherit. Zara stepped forward. I'm not interested in your offer. Corvin's smile faded. This isn't an offer anymore. This is a warning. Walk away. Take your mother, your friends, disappear, and I'll let you live. Zara laughed. You don't get it, do you? You should have killed me when you had the chance. She pulled the flash drive from Marco's hand. We already have everything we need. Corvin shook his head. No, you don't. That's just data. Useless without context, without proof. I own the media, the courts, the army. You me. I paint you as a terrorist, and the world will believe it. Zara's voice was steel. Then we give them something they can't deny. She pulled her phone. Dialed K. Is the signal live? Yes. Go. Zara stepped to the center camera. And spoke. She spoke of the warehouse. Of the pink belt, of her father, of Ark, of the men who hunted her, who burned her past and tried to control her future. She told the world everything, and somewhere above them, Kay broadcasted it all. Live stream, public, unfiltered. Zara stared into the lens. You can't erase people like me. You can't scare us into silence. My father thought he was alone, but I'm not, and neither are you. She ended the stream. Marco stared. That was live. To over 7 million people, Lyra said through the radio. Twitter's on fire. News stations are running with it. You just lit the fuse. Corvin's face on the screen turned cold. You just killed every person you love. Then the screen went black. Sirens wailed. Zara turned. Time to go. They ran back through the tunnel. Gunshots echoed behind them. Marco was hit in the leg. Zara dragged him. A grenade exploded above them. Concrete rained down. They reached the ladder. Climbed. Rena pulled them up. K fired down the shaft to cover them. When they emerged, the street was chaos. Helicopters, police, news, vans, but also, people, protesters, signs. With Zara's name, photos of her father. Truth had broken out of. The ground end was now in the air. The buildings, the hearts of those who'd been lied to for years. Zara stood there, covered in dirt and blood, as people reached for her. Not to mock, not to laugh, but to protect, to thank, to believe. Her mother ran through the crowd. Tears in her eyes held her like she was a child again. Zara collapsed in her arms. The pink belt slipped from her pocket. A reporter caught it, held it high, and for a second, everything stopped. The symbol of her mockery. Now, the mark of her rebellion. She wasn't invisible anymore. But the war wasn't over, not yet, because Corvain had vanished. No trace, no signal, only one message sent to Lyra's encrypted line. She may have spoken, but silence comes next. Zara read it, and smiled. Because for the first time since she wore that pink belt to her first class, she wasn't afraid of silence. She had become the sound, the movement, the warning, and the fight wasn't ending. It was just beginning. Zara stood at the center of the old city square, surrounded by thousands, not cameras, not bodyguards, people, students, teachers, single mothers, immigrants, veterans, faces from every walk of life, faces that had watched her live stream, faces that had believed her when no one else did. And now, they stood shoulder to shoulder, holding candles, wearing pink belts around their wrists, necks, even in their hair. A movement had started without permission, without money, without politicians, a spark lit by truth. But under that, hope. Something darker loomed. Corvain was still missing. For 3 days after the live stream, it felt like Zara had won. News channels flooded the air with her face. The story went viral across borders. Old files from ARC were leaked, revealing blackmail, surveillance, bribery of high officials. Some ministers resigned, others went into hiding. The president made a speech short, careful, afraid. He promised investigation, promised change. But Zara had seen those promises before. Her father had believed them too, before he vanished. Now, with Corvin in the wind, Zara couldn't rest. Lyra hacked into every government satellite trying to locate him. Marco, even with a bullet wound, ran facial recognition software against every feed on the net. Kay chased leads on shell companies, money trails, private jets. But Corvain had erased himself like a ghost, until a signal came from an unexpected place. Rena walked into the safe house holding a tiny flip phone wrapped in foil. "This came through the clinic window this morning," she said. "No number, just a voicemail." Zara pressed play. Corvin's voice came through .com as ever. "You've caused quite a stir, little girl, and you've impressed me. Most would have run, most do, but you're not your father. You're braver, louder, but also more dangerous. That's why I'm giving you one last offer. Meet me. No traps, just answers. Bring no one. Come alone. If you're ready to hear the truth." The message ended with coordinates. Deep in the mountains, outside cell range. Marco cursed. "It's a setup," Kay agreed. "He's baiting you." Lyra paced. "But if she doesn't go, we never get closure. We never finish this." Zara looked at them, voice steady. "I'm going." No one argued, because they knew she'd made up her mind. That night, under the cover of dark, Zara took her father's old motorcycle and rode into the hills. The air grew colder, the higher she climbed. The roads cracked and narrowed. Fog settled like smoke on the trees. Hours passed, her hands froze on the handles. But she didn't stop. At dawn, she reached an abandoned monastery. Stone walls covered in moss. Silence. Everywhere. Except for one candle flickering in the courtyard. Corvain stood beside it, alone, wearing a long black coat. No guards, no guns. Just him. Zara got off the bike, keeping distance. "You said answers," she said. Corvain nodded. "You deserve them." He motioned to an old bench. Surprisingly, she sat. He did too. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Corvain began. "Your father didn't fall. He jumped." Zara's breath caught. Corvain continued, voice calm, almost kind. "We gave him a choice. Sign the agreement, let ARC go global, or disappear quietly. He chose the third door." Zara's fists clenched. "You murdered him." Corvain shook his head. "No, he died on his own terms. But yes, we pushed him, because he refused to adapt." He looked at her. "But you didn't. You turned ARC against us. You used the truth like a weapon, and that's why I respect you." Zara spat on the ground. "Save your respect. I came for proof." Corvin reached into his coat, pulled out a flash drive, tossed it on the bench. Everything. His files, his journals, videos he recorded before the end. "You'll find what you need." Zara stared at it, then looked at him. "Why give it to me now?" He smiled faintly. because I'm tired, and because I know what comes next. Suddenly, footsteps echoed behind her. Zara turned, ready to fight, but it wasn't a soldier. It was Rena. Gun in hand, tears in her eyes, double quotes, Zara. I'm sorry. Zara. Feroce, what are you doing? Corvain stood. She made a deal. Immunity for her family. Safe passage out of the country. All she had to do was lead you here. Zara backed up. No. Rena's hands shook. I didn't know what they'd do. I thought you'd talk. I didn't know they'd bring. She was cut off by helicopters. Descending. From the sky, soldiers rappelled down ropes. Dozens of them. Corvain raised his hands. Like a conductor in a symphony. It's time to end this. Zara grabbed the flash drive. Ran. Shots fired behind her. Rena screamed. Corvain shouted something, but it was lost in the noise. Zara darted into the woods. Bullets tore through trees. Blood ran from her arm. She didn't stop. She ran until the choppers faded, until the gunfire died, until her lungs screamed for air. She collapsed under a broken tree trunk and passed out. When she awoke, it was night again. She was alone, wounded but alive, and the flash drive was still in her hand. She crawled to the bike, rode back to the city like a ghost through wind. When she reached the safe house, Lyra cried. Marco couldn't speak. They bandaged her. And then, together, they opened the drive. Inside everything. Her father's last words, his recordings. One in particular stood out, dated one day before his death. He sat in the same courtyard, same candle. His voice cracked as he spoke. You're seeing this. They didn't win, not completely. I couldn't stop them, but maybe you can. You always had more courage than me, more fire, more love. Don't become like them, even when the world mocks you, laughs at your pink belt. Don't let them change you, because you are the future I couldn't reach. Zara wept. They uploaded the video. To every server. Every platform. Within hours, it broke the internet. Worldwide protests erupted. Allies joined. Journalists uncovered. More. Senators were arrested. Military hearings were held. Corvin's face went from untouchable to wanted, but no one could find him. Not anymore. He had vanished, just like her father. But the war had already turned. Zara was invited to speak before the 10 National Court. She walked into the chamber not as a victim, but as a voice. She told them everything. And when she ended, the room stood not because she was powerful, but because she was proof that truth still had weight. Outside, millions watched on giant screens. They chanted her name, not like a celebrity but like a reminder that courage could wear a pink belt, that weakness was not in softness but in silence. That one girl, mocked and broken, could turn the world upside down. As months passed, Zara stepped away from the spotlight. She taught self-defense to girls in her city. She worked at her father's old community center. She helped rebuild what power had broken, and every so often, someone would knock on her door, a girl holding a pink belt, asking to learn. And Zara always opened the door, smiling because she knew. The world had laughed once, but never again. Not after what she'd done. Not after what she'd survived. Not after one move silenced the room forever.